evening everyone, welcome back to my channel, True Crime with Jess Rose. Now, as you all know, I don't edit my videos at all. Normally, as I'm talking, you see it as I'm doing it, and it won't be any different tonight, but in the sense of I'm doing it in one sitting, but this is my fourth take of this story. Because it's just, I've done some horrific stories, I genuinely have. And each one in its own right is horrific and sad and a waste. And, I think the worst ones I do is when it's a child. And so I will warn you, this is about a young child. But this one, I'm just struggling. I've practiced it, I know what happened, but I'm really struggling with this one. Now, I've looked around for my sources to make sure I get all the information to you right, but I heard about this story a couple of years ago, if I'm honest, and I thought there would be a documentary or something out there, and there's not. All I had really to go on, I have looked at other sources as well, but the main source is a news special, and their title of the news special is Abused to Death, the Untold Story of Adrian Jones. Now, if you do look up the name Adrian Jones, what you will quite possibly find at the same time is a title, Fed to Pigs. If you are going to look it up yourself, you're going to see it, so I've got to tell you, it's what happened, but it's just heartbreaking. So, Adrian Jones, he was a beautiful, beautiful young boy, born on May the 15th, 2008, to parents Diana Pierce and Michael Jones. Now, Michael and Diana didn't stay together too long. It doesn't say exactly how long they were together, but I don't think it was very long. But Adrian and his two sisters stayed with Diana when they broke up. I don't know if Michael had a lot of contact with Adrian and his sisters during that period of time. There's not a lot said about it. Also, not a lot said about his mum, Diana herself. All that we know is that in 2012, whilst Adrian was still 3, him and his sisters were taken off Diana, and it was said that it was for neglect, and the children had been left on their own. I don't know if they were just found on their own. It was the first time. I wouldn't imagine so. It doesn't say if it was a constant behaviour of hers, but they were found on their own. I think there might have even been a younger sibling. So I don't know if Adrian was the middle child of 2 sisters, but they were found on their own and they were taken off Diana, like I say. Now, Judy Conway is Diana's mum, and she's in this news special. She doesn't talk about her daughter a lot, but what she does say is that when this happened, she straight away was like, give them to me. I'll look after them, give them to me. And she does seem lovely. She genuinely does. You do see a lot of her, and she seems like just a really nice woman, grandmother. And she begged to have her grandchildren, but DCF, which is like Child Services in America. Now, this is in Kansas, in America. We flip between Kansas and Missouri. I think I'm pronouncing that right, for this story. But they wouldn't allow her to have Adrian and his sisters, and instead they give them to Michael Jones, his biological dad, and his new wife, Heather Jones. Now, I don't even know if they knew Heather. I don't know what the relationship was between Adrian and his dad during that time. I mean, he would have only been 3 at this time when he was given to his dad. So I don't know if he had much of a relationship with him. But DCF thought they were doing the right thing. Throughout this whole story, I don't know if they actually did anything right. But he was handed to Michael and Heather. And can I just say, Adrian, just a beautiful little boy. Absolutely gorgeous. Just chubby cheeks and big brown eyes. Beautiful, beautiful boy. It makes it just even more heartbreaking what happened. Because I will go back and forth, so don't think I'm jumping the gun and where am I going with this. But from when he was given to his dad in 2012 and Heather, we fast forward to November 2015. Now, there was a call made to the police in Kansas State. It must be a town there. And it was Heather saying that it was a domestic situation and that Michael had tried to shoot her. So, of course, the police rush round to where they're living, and it's kind of a sprawling area where they live, piled rubbish outside, not very nice at all. And the outside was nothing compared to the inside when they walked in. There was supposedly 8 children living in this home with the 2 parents. That's 10. We find out later on that there was an uncle living there too, Michael's uncle. So that'd make 11 people living in this not big home. And it was disgusting. Oh, it was vile. I've seen the pictures, I've seen video footage. Just rancid. Dishes piled high, maggots, feces, anything you're imagining on a filthy home. You can't imagine. It's just so bad. See how tongue-tied I'm getting? It was just disgusting. So they go in this home, not thinking how are kids living here. And Heather, I don't know if she lost her temper. Well, obviously she would have lost her temper, but I don't know why she did it, but she turned around to the police and she says, ask him about his son. Ask him about Adrian. I don't know if she even says Adrian's name, actually. But she specifically says, ask him about his son. And when they're questioning, what does she mean? Just go and check the pig pen. Story's horrific. So one of the policemen go out, and sure enough, there's the pig pen. Pigs there, and they spot human remains, look, bone pieces, fragments. So straight away, they arrest both of them. The bones are checked, and it's Adrian. He was 7 years old. And they killed him. Well, Heather was blaming Michael. Michael was blaming Heather. There's not a lot said about the other 7 children. I've heard that they weren't fed very well. None of them went to school. They were all homeschooled. So they were just hidden from society, really. But not a lot mentioned about them. I presume they'll probably keep them out of the public eye, I would say. So when Judy hears about it, Adrian's nan, of course, she's devastated. The last time she seen him was Christmas 2014. So she hadn't seen him for nearly a year because they wouldn't let her. And she just couldn't get her head around it. She was like, I don't understand. DCF were involved not only in Adrian's life because of his mum, but they were involved in his life because of his dad. And she starts to say that, yeah, there was abuse going on in that home. DCF were involved. But because, like I say, they were homeschooling their children, they would move. They lived a transient life. They would move between Missouri and Kansas. And they were kind of on the line, the border, apparently. And so every time they'd move into the other state, reports would start being phoned in again about these children being treated badly. A report would start up again. They'd move. That would be closed. It'd open up again. Adrian and his siblings weren't completely undetected. Even though they were being homeschooled, they were known to children's services. Well, while Michael and Heather are being held, they hadn't been sentenced at that point. They were just being held, charged with Adrian's murder, but neither one still admitting to it. So the prosecution was struggling. Heather phoned her old landlord. Her old landlord's a landlady, is a woman by the name of Jen Hoover. Now, she's on this special as well. And I just can't, this poor woman, because Heather phoned her and she said, can you go to her computer and download everything from her iCloud? So she'd have all the pictures of her kids. So when Jen goes in to her laptop, she starts coming across photos and videos of Adrian, and it basically documents the last 9 months of this boy's life in front of her. She said, and it starts with, you can see him having to hold his hands above his head for hours at a time. Hours. Now, Heather's taking photos of this, and it is Heather because there's videos and you can hear her talking as well. So it is her as well. So that's how it started with him, with Adrian. But it seemed like from the footage that had been going on for a while. And it said that in 2014, so a year before Adrian was murdered, he was sent to residential care for PTSD. He would have been 5 or 6 at the time. What 5 or 6-year-old needs to get treated for PTSD? And at the end of the care within this residential, I don't know how you can say, yeah, they must be fine now. I don't know how that works. But providing Michael and Heather agreed to go on some, I've got to be flippant, parenting classes. I know it's given another word, but I'm pretty sure it's as flippant as that. They could have him back. And nothing was followed up from that. Now, I'm already naming several chances where DCF were involved in Adrian's life already. So it seems the time frame is, it could seem that it was when he come back from there, but we do know that there are files that go back even further to that. Now, he moved in with his dad in 2012. Now, when he was 2013, so he'd have been 3, 4, I think. 3, 4, that age. DCF again actually questions him. They spoke to Adrian, and he says, my daddy kicks me really hard in my stomach, and my mum, she must have been forcing him to call him her mum by that time, drags me by my ears and really hurts me. They really hurt me. Nothing done. Nothing. So you've heard it from him. He's been treated for PTSD. It's quite obvious there's serious abuse going on in his home. And he's sent back again. I mean, in just that short amount of time, I've told you 3 separate times that it could have been helped. So that's what I mean about the time frame. So it seems when he came back from the residential care was when it really stepped up, and it's documented in these photos and in these videos. And I'm gonna tell you some of the things that poor Adrian was put through. Now, one thing I should tell you is that the entire home had CCTV footage 24 hours a day, and more than one camera in each room. I mean, this home was under constant surveillance, constant. So this is where all the footage and all the photos and stills and videos come from. And like I said, he'd been forced to stand for hours with his hands in the air. He'd be blindfolded and strapped to a table, sometimes an inversion table that he'd be handcuffed to. What I will say, I don't personally recommend it, because you can't get it out of your head, but all these pictures are online of Adrian and this treatment of him. You can't get rid of it once you've seen it, so I am warning you of that. If you do want to have a look, you know, all the images are on there. He was forced to eat when he was actually allowed to eat, because he was starved, from like a maggot infested bowl outside with his hands tied behind his back. He was hit in the face with broomsticks. He was the treatment of this boy, and that you see happen kind of in real time. And she loved the photos of his injuries. There's so many photos, not just of the abuse happening as you're watching it. There were stills of his injuries, like his swollen hands from being on the inversion table, his swollen ankles, bruises, burns, abrasions. And you started to notice, remember I said he was such a chubby little boy, you just seen the weight just drop off, like he was missing bits of his hair. Very like the story of Gabriel Fernandez, in the sense of there's actual photos, there's footage of this happening. So it's not just something that you imagine, you see it, and it's awful. And there was someone who said on the special that had said that someone on, I think within their friend group, had said that as uncomfortable it is for everyone to see the pictures and the videos, Adrian had to live it. I mean, there's a video of him, like I say, the outside of this home was just awful, just piled high with rubbish. And Heather is recording him, and you can hear her tone, like a really harsh tone, just saying, you know, what are you doing? I actually know, I can quote actually what she was saying to him. She says, what are you doing? Oh, why are you doing that? And he says, because I get cold when I'm out here. And what he was actually doing was rooting around for food. But he was so scared of admitting that he just says, I'm cold. He didn't know what to say. There's videos of him being made to stand in the family filthy, disgusting pool, which come up to his neck throughout the night. And it was said that at that time of year it would have been freezing where they were. It would show him having to just walk around for the night with these tiki torches, just real mental, physical, emotion, so many abuses to one little boy. You just can't even fathom it. And then where he had to sleep was in a shower cubicle. yeah, he'd have to stand up. He wouldn't be allowed to sit down. Horrific, just a horrific treatment of this boy. And it's like she really took pleasure. I keep saying her because it's like it was her that took the pictures. It was her voice you heard. You heard the other kids when she was, I think there must have been maybe an intercom or something, because she was talking to him while he was outside, but she was inside, and or they were watching him, and he was trying to eat off the floor, and you could hear her, and there was a child with her who obviously knew no better, because they didn't even call him by his name by this point. He was the boy. The boy. Just took away his complete identity. And they're like, what was he doing that? And she's like, oh, look at him eating off the floor. Like mocking him. Just not one kind word. Not one kind gesture. And 4 years he dealt with this. And he was just starving. He was just withering away, and you could see it on camera. You can see that his cheeks were all sunken in by the end. His eyes were haunted. Just such an upsetting thing to see. But as that woman said, as upsetting it is to say, that was his life. And remember I said there was an uncle that also lived in the home. There's a part of the video that shows Adrian being in the kitchen, so he must have snuck out of the bathroom, and he's got like a bowl of water, and you see the uncle come in to the kitchen. Adrian ducks down, and then as the uncle walks past it, he runs out naked, no clothes. He's not allowed clothes on. And you just think, and that uncle, what? There's nothing to say that he was involved in the abuse, but he did absolutely nothing to stop it. And on September the 25th, 2015, Adrian finally succumbed to his injuries on his own in that shower cubicle, tied to a chair. Just left him there to die. So they didn't panic. They didn't worry. They didn't even think they'd give him a burial. What they did, they went out and got themselves some pigs, starved them for 2 weeks. And you might be thinking, well, where was Adrian in these 2 weeks? He was still in the shower cubicle. And then it was said they threw what was left of him to the pigs. 7 years old. No words. I've got no words. I've done some horrific, I keep saying I've done some horrific stories, but this one I knew I wanted to do for you. But I knew I'd struggle. I knew I really would struggle. When Judy eventually could bring herself to look at the photos and look at the footage, you can't even imagine it, can you? You know, she felt a huge amount of upset, but also a lot of anger. Now, her anger was pointed at, quite rightly, Michael and Heather, who by this point the footage has been found. They're both charged with murder, but 2nd degree, because apparently they didn't mean to kill him. It wasn't premeditated. In all these stories, Gabriel Fernandez, Victoria Climbier, Baby Pay, but I didn't mean to, I did do all that, but no, it's going to kill him. It's got to stop being an excuse. It genuinely has. So they both got sentenced to 25. They got sentenced to life with a minimum of 25 years before they can apply for parole. why that's even an option. I don't know what's happened in this case. I don't, because normally America, the punishment absolutely normally suits the crime. And I just don't know how I feel about the fact that they might be able to get out. Still blaming each other. And I think because they can't pinpoint which one of them actually killed Adrian, that's why that option's available, because they couldn't prove that they'd meant to kill him and which one had done the fatal blow, whether it be that way or who had tied him in the shower. Oh, it just leaves me so uncomfortable, just knowing that the law's there for a reason. I get that, but sometimes you just think, can you not go with the law on this one? Go with the moral standpoint. But then, and I get the law's there for a reason. It's just so hard to know that there's a chance that these people might get out. Now, like I say, although Judy's absolute and rightful anger was pointed at Michael and Heather, she has gone after DCF as well, as have a lot of people. This boy was failed horrifically. And there's a woman called Diane Keach who's on the special as well. And she says that she actually resigned her post at DCF. I think she was quite high up when she realised how many mistakes were being made and that paper trails were being told to be gotten rid of. I don't know why I did that. Gotten rid of. If a child dies, you know, get rid of all proof that we were involved if a child dies. So she just couldn't live with herself working for an organisation like that. And you know, she said Adrian just simply fell through the cracks. They're saying that because the family moved around so much, they were homeschooled. That's where I should homeschooling the children. You know, they don't want to take the blame, but there's apparently a 2,000-page file on Adrian with one department, and then a 450-odd-page file with another department. Now, I've come up to date as much as I can on this, and I haven't heard that anyone, you know, like with Gabriel Fernandez, people, they tried to at least charge the social workers that were involved. But because with Adrian there was that many places they lived, so that many departments working with them, I don't know if they'd be able to do it. I mean, they couldn't even really get Gabriel Fernandez's social workers done, could they? You know, Victoria Climbier's, it didn't happen. You know, it's just so hard. And then you've got poor Judy, who says that when the last time she's seen Adrian, she says, you know, I'll see you soon and I'll keep you safe. Nana, I think he called her. And she said, but they wouldn't let her. And then they kept moving. She couldn't find them. And I just think the frustration of that would be hard to live with. But no mention of the mum, really. I've seen her name a few times, Diana Pierce, but no real mention. And there's just no, I don't know. And his siblings, you know, not a lot mentioned. There was a video of Michael Jones's daughter, not related to Adrian. So obviously, well, she would have been related to Adrian. What am I talking about? She'd have been half sister, different mum though. Who said there'd be absolutely no way her dad would be capable of doing anything like this. I presume passing all the blame on to Heather. They were both involved. And the fact that the uncle who lived there as well, it said that the law in that state means you can be living in a home witness abuse, and as long as you're not the one inflicting it, you don't even have to call and report it. So you can't even be done for not reporting it. So they did chase him down. They did chase the uncle down, and he refused to speak to them. You know, the reporters, he refused to speak to them and just closed the door, obviously ashamed of himself. But he tried to deny it at first, apparently, until he was seen on camera, and then all his post was found there. But yeah, DCF, and we know their part to play in it. We know, obviously, Michael and Heather's, but how could you watch that go on? You know, you're not twisted enough to be doing it. Where's your feeling? Where's your sympathy for this boy? And then to watch him run around. So maybe he was doing something to him, because he certainly didn't feel he could confide him in or come out when his mum and dad weren't there, because it was said that the uncle babysat for the children while Heather and Michael Wright they worked. I think he was a security guard. I'm not sure what she did, but they had jobs. It's just been the worst story. But I wanted to share it with you. And if you do want to, I advise against it. If you do want to look up the story, or, you know, there's all the videos and everything online. And it's Adrian Jones. I don't think it's MSNBC, but I think it's an affiliate of theirs. But it's Abused to Death, the untold story of Adrian Jones. They're short segments, I think there's 3. And yeah, if you want to have a look yourself, but just a heartbreaking, awful story. Just to know that there's that kind of evil out there. We know there is. But it just, every time I think I've told a story that just makes me feel, ugh. It's just human depravity. Just knows no bounds. And I don't know if it's, well, it is, because when it's children, it's just worse. It's just awful. But I wanted to share that story with you, and it's the story of Adrian Jones. Thank you for joining me again. I hope you're all doing okay out there. I don't know how to end this one. I've gotten a little bit better at ending my stories, but this one I don't know how to end it. I need to film myself an outro so I can just go pop. But no, thank you so much for joining me again. I really appreciate it. Hope you're all keeping safe out there. And I will see you soon. Thank you so much. Thank you.